What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here. So I have another solo Birthplace of the Vile GM run. This time I'm using Peacekeepers with Huckleberry because I wanted to see if Peacekeepers were actually legit, like if we're dealing with a Lucky Pants 2.0, or if it was just clickbait that people were making at the start of Revenant just because SMGs got a damage boost similar to Lucky Pants. And obviously Lucky Pants has been nerfed, but in my opinion, it's still pretty strong. So yeah, I wanted to give Peacekeepers a go and then kind of give my thoughts on it. So you can see I am on Titan with Consecration Slam and Knockout. You pretty much need Knockout for this for a way to get your health back because you can't regen health. So there you can see I get a Consecration to get my health back. So right off the bat, Huckleberry is doing pretty well. I kept Overload SMG off. I kind of wish I didn't so that I could have shown it a bit better. Oh, also here I have kinetic impacts, so that's how I'm stunning that unstop. But normally I will just rely on my Shackle Grenade. So yeah, the reason I kept Overload SMG off was so that I could break Lurker Shields if I was Radiant. Because again, I was thinking I'd be using it more for ad clear, but it would have been nice to have it to kind of show it off against a champion. But we have so many ways to take out champions now that I don't know if the Huckleberry damage bonus is really needed. So I want you to pay attention to that damage bonus. Unfortunately, it's really hard to because the UI on Destiny is still not really fixed. You can still only have 4 things on the side to show your buffs and debuffs and whatnot. So that is very unfortunate because we can't always see what we're dealing with for a damage boost. And like I said, Consecration is still going to carry me through this run because in my opinion, yeah, after playing with it, I just don't think it's that good. I've got double kinetic surge on, so I'm getting 17% more damage, and we have the damage boost. And look at it against a corrupted Wraith. Sure, these guys are pretty tanky, but as far as I'm concerned, that damage bonus is not good enough. It needs to linger much longer. It would be nice if you could get a reload off, but unfortunately you can't. So there, again, I used my melee to proc Radiant, and then we just melt him with the God Roll Bait and Switch that you can get from the Gunsmith for the next few weeks, I think it is, but just pick it up sooner than later. I don't know how long it's around. But yeah, overall, I was not really impressed with Peacekeepers, personally. I was expecting a little more. So here's the thing. With the sandbox today, we can just rely on our abilities to pretty much be our mass ad clear. And then use weapons for high burst damage and use them to like take out champions and things. Where this works counter to that. This is like old school Destiny where you're using your weapons for ad clear. Does it do good ad clear? Yes. Like, it's not bad. But you could do ad clear so much better with so many other options. Even like a volt shot weapon, because at the end of the day, this is still a single target weapon. And Huckleberry, like, look, I've got the damage boost going, Rampage. So that is pretty strong, and you can see it's good against these red bars, no doubt. But I could manipulate the enemies to group up on me and just do a Consecration Slam and take everything out. And then I can spam that Consecration 3 times, get my health back. So you see what I'm saying? Yes, it's a decent exotic, but is it a viable, smart thing to run in endgame? And I would, without a doubt, say no. There are so many better builds and exotics that you could run on a Titan. So like right there, I do 1 Consecration Slam in my Transcendence and I take all those enemies out. Could I have used Huckleberry there? Yes. But would it have taken like 5 times longer to take them all out? Yes. So it can be strong. Like here, I try to use it. This guy's going immune and being annoying. I still have to reload at the end of that, which is quite annoying. Even if you proc it at the very end, like on your last bullet, if you're in the reload animation, it's still going to reload, which is just something you have to deal with. But yeah. So here, again, Glacial Quake got a buff, actually, insanely. So we already have our Glacial Quake back because they buffed roaming supers and how often you get them. So we weaken and stun the overload because we have concussive reload on, and then we're just going to use our super to take it out. And then we get the unstopped to finishable. So like I said, the build, the aspects and fragments and whatever really carry this build more than Huckleberry doing like amazing damage. I show it off on the boss as well, and it's just not even as good as primary damage as Lucky Pants gives. And Lucky Pants was reworked. You can actually kind of work around it now to keep the buff in a way. So it's kind of nice there, but it doesn't have that crazy damage potential that it used to. So yeah, there, I've got Kinetic Weapon Surge going. We melt that guy pretty well, but again, there's just so many ways we can take out ads so much quicker in today's sandbox. I made that Crown of Tempest build. That is a good endgame build. You can go crazy with Crown of Tempest and just spamming abilities. You're jolting everything. It's really good. So there, again, with an overload, we have to take them out quickly because we have these guys messing us up. So you're going to use your heavy on a champion anyways if there's a bunch of enemies around. So right here, I'm kind of showing it off. It's doing well. But the other thing with this is, like I said, that buff does not stick around long enough. You get it going, but if you kind of stop damaging, or even if you miss shots, like raiders and stuff will go immune and like kind of run away and hide, then you just lose your damage bonus right away, which really sucks because that's kind of what you want. So I think I run past these enemies, but then I'm like, wait, maybe I should mow them down to show off the build. So yeah, I could have done this run quicker, but I did kind of want to show this off. So yeah, right there, that's really good ad clear. Huckleberry, you never have to reload it. We got the damage boost times 20 going. That is shredding. But again, you could do that with so many other options. It is a really good ad clear SMG by all means. So if you do want to rely on your weapons for ad clear, then this is a good option. But like I said, who's relying on weapons for ad clear with the ad density we have in activities nowadays? Like, it just isn't really viable in today's sandbox. Maybe viable isn't the right word, but it's certainly not optimal. So yeah, we're chewing through Screebs like nothing in GM content there because we had Rampage going, we had Kinetic Surges going. So here, like I said, would have been nice to have Overload SMG on, but again, once you reload, you're going to be losing that damage bonus. So there, I proc Radiant, and we get the damage bonus going. We've got Kinetic Weapon Boost, we're getting Kinetic Tremors to proc, and even still, it's not like it's melting like crazy. I did a run with Outbreak Perfected on Kyrus Titan, and Outbreak can 2-cycle champions. If you get it going, and with concussive reload for the weaken and all that, you can do a pretty easy 2-cycle. So, and then in a situation like this, you're not going to be taking out all those enemies with Peacekeepers. You're just not. Or if you are, you're probably going to die. You're going to be using your abilities and whatever else. So is it fun and a different playstyle? Sure. In something like Onslaught, you could definitely have a lot of fun with it. But even in Onslaught, you could also just take Syntheseps Titan in there, which when I just want to shut my brain off and get an easy clear with LFGs, that's what I do. I just take that in, I spawn kill everything. You're constantly becoming transcendent. So here, obviously, he's not stunned, but I wanted to show off the damage a little bit. There, I actually get really close to dying as well. So we have to proc our whatchamacallit, Transcendence, because I was gonna melee kill that guy, but then I realized it's probably better to spawn in the ads while I have Transcendence. So I know I'm sitting on low health, but I do think this was the right call, so that I could spawn kill a bunch of these enemies. Again, what's easier? Throwing one Transcendence grenade and just jolting everything, suspending it, and going to town on it? Or sitting back and using a Huckleberry to mow down these ads, and then they have lurker shields. So if you're hitting the shield, look, you get immunes. You're not ripping through them. So here, again, that is really good ad clear. But this is about like the optimal situation. It's a bunch of pretty easy to kill red bars. And there, I have to get a reload because of the lurker shield. So then what do? I just revert to Consecration and take them pretty much all out with one melee. So that's why I wanted to make this video, was to actually take Peacekeepers into some real content. Not like, I could have taken this through an expert lost sector and mown everything down in about twice the time that it would take me if I was using a good build. Like, I'm not exaggerating. I took that glaive build. If you saw my run with all glaives in here, that is a legit lost sector farming build. I'm not even kidding. You can rip through lost sectors with that build if you're good with the glaive and using it properly. This build, like I said, would it be fun and could I get some YouTube content and like make a fun Peacekeepers video? Sure. But is it actually viable in endgame? Not really. So here, I can't really proc Radiant because they were a little far away. So again, I was hitting the shields of the lurkers, which is a detriment to this Huckleberry, because it relies on getting kills, because that's going to reload your magazine. And then, so if you're not getting kills in time to reload the magazine, then it really falls off. But here, yeah, that's really good ad clear. You can take those screebs out really nicely. Like, again, I'm not saying it's horrible. I'm just saying there's a lot better options. Like right there, with that damage boost and stuff, we're able to take that guy out. Now we have Rampage rolling. That's really good. Like, legit, that is pretty good. But that's also using an SMG that reloads on kill and has old school Rampage. So I think it stacks up to like 50%. I can't remember the old percentages of Rampage, but Huckleberry has that. So this is pretty much the best case scenario for Peacekeepers, because could you use it for single target damage? The only thing I would consider is Ravenous Beast. What's it called? Teraba, sorry. Teraba with Ravenous Beast is like the one option that you could use. Osteostriga maybe because of the damage over time with poison, but that doesn't stack with the damage buff from Peacekeepers. So Teraba is like the only thing that would be viable in my opinion. But the problem with Teraba, especially this season, is when you swap off it, you're losing Ravenous Beast perk. And the game really incentivizes you to like swap weapons now with things like Envious Arsenal and Bait and Switch. And then with Concussive Reload, you pretty much always want to be running an Overload GL, or at least a GL, so that you can weaken high health targets. So if you bust out the GL to weaken the target, now you're not going to have Ravenous Beast active. So that's a big problem. So you would need to pretty much main Teraba to get the most out of it. And is that good playstyle in endgame content? No, it's not. There, I don't know why that guy didn't get stunned. That was really strange, but it happens. And then, Jesus, I almost straight up die here. Good thing for Brawn, otherwise I would have been dead, because those Scorn crossbows hit really hard. So here, again, is why I'm running Knockout, so that I can just get all my health back because of Brawn. So if we can ever hit our shots on this Chieftain, that is the one thing I don't like about those GLs. And again, that's where it would have been nice to have Overload SMG, but I guarantee it's at least a 2 cycle if you get the weaken. And then, because Huckleberry, I'm not running Kinetic Loader, it reloads pretty slow. So you're going to get that times 20 proc off. And then you're going to do it again. And with Overload, you could keep doing that. But again, there's so many quicker ways in the game to melt Overload champions now. So I ask, is that a good use of your exotic? And in my opinion, it just isn't. So yeah, like I said, that's why I wanted to make this video, because I like testing things and seeing if they're actually end game viable. Like I said, I will vouch for that all glaive build all day. I'll vouch for Crown of Tempest. A lot of people, when I made that build video on the weekend, were saying, oh, this isn't good, blah, 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 clickbait, it's crap. And then I first tried this GM, which, don't get me wrong, this is about as easy a GM as you'll ever do. That's another thing. I'm using this Peacekeepers build in a GM where I'm damn near invincible because of Brawn. I would not take this into a difficult GM. whatsoever. But I absolutely would take the Crown and Tempest build into a GM. And if there's unstops and overloads, I legit would take that Glaive build into a GM. But would I recommend it for everyone? Probably not. It's a very niche playstyle. I really enjoy it, and if you know what you're doing, it's obviously very good. But if you don't know what you're doing, it could struggle, like straight up. I'll be honest. But like I said, Crown of Tempest, I fully vouch for that. Even my Chaos Reach build, that's really good with Arc Surge. And now with Arc Compounding, with Chaos Reach and getting an extra 15% to blinded enemies, that's going to be really strong. Like Queen Breakers with Chaos Reach. Don't laugh. That's actually good. Like, I'm not kidding. It could definitely be viable. So here we don't have our super. I can't remember. I think I messed this up a little bit. Yeah, I should have suspended a little earlier probably. And then we missed some shots. So this is actually a little sketchy because that overload was about to start regenning health. So again, now we just have to rely on consecration spam. Take them out. That's why we want Transcendence. And look at that, my super is already back. Glacial Quake did not need a buff. I'm not complaining about it. But yeah, it's crazy how fast this comes back. So I could have melted a little faster here because I got that God Roll from the Gunsmith, the Envious Arsenal, bait and switch. There, I threw that a little soon. So I should be showing off Peacekeepers here a little bit. But I want to get them down so that I can show off like the primary damage. So here we're going to get some primary shots in. I should be aiming for the head, but he's not the easiest boss to hit, especially with an SMG, because I mean it's not the most stable weapon. But I'm just trying to get my stacks up really quickly, keep the debuff on him. We've got double kinetic surge as well. So just trying to show off the damage on a single target that Peacekeepers is capable of. Now we're going to mow down some ads with it. And again, that's very good. That ripped through those ads. Unfortunately, this asshole always does that immunity tether, which is really unfortunate because we could have kept the times 20 boost going and done some good damage there because we, like, see, it keeps reloading itself with all these enemies. And then if I can flick to the boss in time to keep that damage boost, that would be awesome because I have Rampage times 3 going. But he keeps putting up those totems, so that's not really viable, unfortunately. But yeah, overall, pretty good. Like I said, I took out that wave super quickly. Or you could do that. Just one simple Consecration Slam, spawn kill them all. Or would you rather lay on the trigger and take them out with Huckleberry? So, again, I'm sounding like a broken record at this point, but is it endgame viable? Yes. Is it smart to run? Not really. It's fun if you want to mess around, use some SMGs. If you're in a team, then maybe you could main Teraba, because other people could apply the debuffs. Maybe other people could give you Radiant. So then you could actually really get Teraba rolling. And that would actually be pretty fun. So in a team environment, that's the thing. I'm pretty biased towards solo stuff. So I look at things a lot as a solo player. So yeah, obviously there's probably a bit more viability because I always talk about this with the things like Vex Mythoclast and Revision Zero. They're ammo savers is what they are because they have those alternate fire modes that you can use on a champion or a boss. And that's actually crucial in endgame because there, like, I'm down to 14 grenades in my grenade launcher. If I run out, what am I going to do damage to the boss with? If you're using a primary legendary, you're not going to have a fun time. But if you have something like a Teraba or a Revision Zero, that's free primary damage. Outbreak Perfected, things like that, right? So they help to save on ammo. But there, is that SMG going to do me any good when an abomination, an unstoppable abomination, are all spawning in together at once? No. I'm going to get killed. I have to take them out quicker. So you're going to be relying either on your heavy weapon and special weapon in that situation, or on your abilities. So here, hopefully I do some, yeah. So there, that's pretty good damage. Those Wraiths are pretty strong, but it wasn't enough to take it out in one magazine, where I feel like Lucky Pants probably could. This is a little easier to use than Lucky Pants. Like, some people might not like hand cannons or whatever. But then once I get pushed, what do I go to at the end of the day? We want to use our Consecration, not Huckleberry, when they're bearing down on us. Maybe with Devour it would be a little better, but we can't really get Devour on Titan, not while we're using Peacekeepers. And not while we're using an exotic SMG. You could use Buried Bloodline or something, which is an amazing weapon and has a ton of utility. But yeah, with this build, again, that's what I mean. It's like you could pick so many better exotic weapons and exotic armor pieces. So I just don't know if it makes sense. So yeah, I was trying to get the boss to come close so that I could pop my super when the enemies spawn, so I could kind of take out enemies with my super and the boss. This guy moves around a lot, so he's not the best to use Glacial Quake on. Big targets that don't move as much are much better. So there, we get the damage stacking, and yeah, again, you can see we're putting in some pretty good damage there once all that stuff's rolling. Radiant, Kinetic Weapon Surge, Rampage, our damage boost from killing those other enemies. There was about the best case scenario, and then in 30 bullets, you run out of ammo, have to reload, and you lose everything. So yeah, Huckleberry not great for the single boss damage. Risk Runner has some application. If this guy wasn't shooting those void projectiles and was instead shooting arc projectiles, you could maybe make a case for Peacekeepers, but again, that's going to be so activity dependent. But that is one other use case if you were really wanting to use Peacekeepers. So here, we're just showing off how good it is at ad clear. And then there, again, it really falls off at range, which in GMs you often want to be playing at range because it's safer. And if you are going in, you better have a good loadout to take enemies out fast. So Outbreak there would have done much better. But once we hit the crit on that Stasis guy, like, shit melted really quickly, didn't it? So unfortunately, when he puts his head down, I missed some shots, and then he regened, I feel like, quicker than normal, but maybe not. I guess it's because that first, I don't know, that first proc actually did stun him. So here, I'm just like waiting for him to shoot, kind of just avoiding him. Gonna put in some primary damage. But like I said, at the end of the day, the heavy's gonna chunk him down quick enough. Otherwise, he'll start regenning. So yeah, on champs, you just want to use heavy. I still don't think it's very viable, unless, like I said, it was Teraba. And then here, we're not messing around. We're just going to suspend it, because this room gets very scary if those totems start getting out of control. Because we still have another chieftain, a yellow bar chieftain up. And this actually, I mess up here. I missed my consecration there. And then this guy is a slow guy, so I actually get frozen by him. And then I'm slowed, so I can't do my consecration melee. So yeah, these Banes you still have to watch out for. Luckily, he wasn't immune. He was just far enough to be away from that totem. So we got a little lucky there for sure. So that was some pretty sloppy gameplay on my part, but it is what it is. And then these guys, you've got the freeze guys, you've got the raiders. Like I said, the raiders go immune, so an SMG is not great against them. You want like high damage options to take them out before they can get running around and running away from you. There's what I was talking about. I had just procced it on the last shot. So, but at the end of the day, anyway, sorry, what I was saying was I procced it on the last shot, so I had to reload. And then what I was going to say is at the end of the day, it's still better to just spawn kill everything with a jolt grenade, like any number of ways you can spawn kill things. Obviously consecration like this, rather than relying on an SMG. So here they start running, which is really freaking annoying. And then we're just going to try to slowly take them out. Yeah, this was pretty sloppy, honestly. So the nice thing with Glacial Quake is, well, it's a super, so it goes through immunity totems. So that's one thing. But watch when I come out of this. So I was out of melees there, which is why I popped. Ah, these fucking raiders. I hate them so much. So yeah, I was out of melees. Now look, I had my melees back. I didn't need to pop Transcendence there because that gives you your melees like crazy, but I did anyways, just because there's only like 7 ad waves and then they kind of stop coming. So I'm just trying to spam all my abilities, get them all dead. These immunity totems were a huge pain in the ass as well. Like, what is that spawn hiding behind the cover like that? Now we have a second one. Like, just super annoying stuff. So here now, I think, and this is another bad thing with SMGs, you have to stand in there to deal damage with them. And in this, especially since I can't recover my health, that's kind of dangerous. Where if you have something that you can peek shoot with and do high damage, that's going to be better. So that's why I didn't melt with the SMG at the end, was because I didn't really have a way of getting my health back. And that would have taken longer than just using the ammo that I have. So that was a Peacekeepers run of Birthplace of the Vile, and those are my thoughts on Peacekeepers as far as an endgame exotic. I definitely don't think it's worth it, but still a 25-minute solo GM isn't bad, but that was Consecration doing the bulk of the heavy lifting. So anyways, hope you found it helpful, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.